G'day, I'm Owen, you've joined the pub test, and this is our third video in our victim series. So if you're waiting for that long video when they're all put together, then do so. But if you are following along as these get released, well, let's get into it. So the third person on our victims list is a young woman by the name of Ada Wilson. And the details that we know about her is that she was most likely early 20s, living at home with her parents and a couple of siblings according to census records. And she was listed in this particular, around this time, in 1888, as a seamstress. And that little detail is important as we go through this particular story. So Ada finds herself home alone on March 28, 1888. Now this is during the day. She opens the door and here's a bloke, nicely dressed, nice hat, and he says, "Give me your money." And she says, "Tell it while you're walking, buddy. You're not getting anything from here." He pulls out a knife and slashes at her throat twice, striking her. Now she screams. Old Bud then decides he better take off and he runs. He's booking it. Interestingly, this did get the attention of people. And the bloke almost got caught. But he managed to get away. Now, how this bloke got away, we really don't know. But some suggest he may have been the infamous spring-heeled Jack. Yes, and I've only learnt about this bloke recently, but he was a bit of a mythical sort of monster in the cupboard character 50 years prior. And that's actually an interesting story, which will be covered in this channel sometime down the track. But basically, the guy could jump like big walls and just get away from people. And so because this guy was never caught, it suggested perhaps he was the reincarnation of this spring-heeled Jack. And it's also been suggested in comments too that maybe Thomas Cutbush was spring-heeled Jack because he was able to jump the walls of Broadmoor pretty well much. But the good news to this story is that Ada Wilson made a full recovery. At least physically full recovery. How you cope emotionally after opening your door and getting attacked like that, I don't know. And there obviously wasn't much mental health to help people back then. But we do see that she was in meaningful employment according to the census records, if the census records are still talking about the same Ada Wilson, because really we don't know because those records are fairly sketchy. But yeah, she did not pass away from this attack. Now, how does that fit in to the Jack the Ripper crimes? And why was she linked as a victim to Jack the Ripper? The reason why she's been linked is because the notion that Jack the Ripper did not like the women of the night. And that Ada at the time was listed as a seamstress, which apparently was a euphemism for an unfortunate, a woman having to sell herself to make money. The funny part, though, is you could work as a seamstress. Many people made a living doing that as a job. Now, naturally, if you were an unfortunate living in these lodging houses, you would not give that as your occupation. You'd have to come up with something else. Yet, Ada was living at home. She wasn't in a lodging house. It seems like all the family were in some type of employment. Now, they weren't necessarily wealthy, but it's unlikely to me that she was involved in that activity. Also, this appeared to be more like a robbery. So why would a random person turn up to a house when someone would be in that employment, knowing they were living pretty well much day to day just to pay for their room? It had to have been some reason why this person would turn up demanding money at that house. We don't know. We really don't. But I doubt it was to get her takings from the night before. That's just my opinion, though. And I'd be interested to know what you think, so put that down in comments. But I think the real reason why she made this list in most people's minds who try to connect Ada Wilson to the Jack the Ripper is because of the description that she gave of the bloke who attacked her. He was well dressed. He had the hat. And the images that we see, the artist's impression of who Jack the Ripper would have looked like, very much match Ada's description of the person that attacked her. So the question is then, did the press look back on this story and then formulate the idea of this well-dressed person attacking women? Because this also did not gain a huge amount of media attention, and probably because Ada wasn't killed. She survived, and it was just a few wounds that she suffered, which is dreadful enough. I'm not saying that that's any way good, but at least it wasn't as bad as other people are going to suffer as we go through this. So whilst this was a good result that Ada survived this attack, that is not the case for many who are left on this list. So who is the fourth person on the Jack the Ripper victim list? So thank you very much for watching, and also throwing in comments. So what do you think of this one? Because I'm learning a lot along the way here too. Like Spring Heel Jack was totally new to me. Never heard of the bloke until someone put that down in comments. And I'm like, well, that is an actually interesting story. And the connection then to Jack the Ripper was also a little bit fascinating, that perhaps that was the name given, this Jack, because people were scared of Spring Heel Jack. But as always, your comments, your viewing is genuinely appreciated. So keep an eye out for the next video. It will be a bit of a heavy one. And if you are enjoying this, then give us a subscribe. It really, really does help the channel out. But I'm Owen. You've been watching The Pub Test, and we will see you on the next one.